Good morning. The experiment continues. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne, taking my fifth sip of my first cup of coffee. Listen to my very loud phone buzz to the right of me, left of you. And I am here to try one more time to do another edition of what we like to call, because that's what I called it, eight things to talk about today for Friday, December 31st, 2021. It is the dawning or right about the dawn of the new year. So if you're waiting for that date with Baby New Year tonight, here are a couple things that happened on the day prior. So things that basically happened on the 30th. So you get a kind of rundown if you're going to walk into people, if you're going to the store, like myself, shopping for those groceries for your New Year's dinner. Some things to talk about that happened yesterday. These are the top stories, not necessarily the top stories per Wolf Blitzer or those guys. These are top stories that were determined by the internets, by the people who follow us on social media. This is the Conversation Project social media links, and they essentially did their social media thing, did what they needed to do, and ranked these stories, which is why they're how they are. Don't blame me, blame y'all. So let's go ahead and get started with the eight things to talk about for the day today, Friday, December 31st, dealing with things for the past 30 or so hours prior to right about now. Come to you live at about 6:04 Central Standard Time on Friday the 31st. Starting with number one, this top story for the day, for the prior, I should say, is this one. Love it when your technology works. Led by Bob Stoops, number 13 Oklahoma handles number 15 Oregon in Alamo Bowl. Number one story of the day. And this one we sourced from usatoday.com. And this one got all the looks, all the clicks, an engagement of 39.08%. What does that mean? Well, you like this story. This was a heartwarming story, if you will. Bob Stoops, the coach for Oklahoma for just one day, as their prior coach has a new job and the new coach can't come in until the next season. Bob Stoops, the legendary coach from Oklahoma, comes in to coach for the bowl game just to get the thing done. And the really cool thing about that is his son gets a touchdown, his second touchdown of the year, I believe. Not a prolific score, but he got a touchdown in the game where his dad showed up, and they got the win over Oregon in a pretty big time bowl game. Good for them. Good for heartwarming story for Oklahoma fans. I know a couple Oklahoma fans who went nuts over this one. I know some other fans of other teams who didn't particularly care because it was Bob Stoops and it was Oklahoma and Oregon. So you can take that for whatever grains of salt you want to. It is pretty cool that Bob Stoops came back for one game and was able to pull it off in that win. And of course, his son got a chance to score in the game to get a little extra mustard on it. Condiments, more football on the way, oddly enough. Story number two, with an engagement of 6.75, which shows you just how much a drop went from Bob Stoops to this one. Although, caveat on this one, this is a story that we posted early-ish in the morning that was in the grasp of yesterday, but had enough juice to be a story listed yesterday, and it carried over with enough juice to be the number two story, even if it is by engagement much lower story number one, and that is female Marvel and DC comic characters are even curvier than the most searched for women on Pornhub. What does that mean? That means if you have, as a quicker explanation than I gave yesterday, if you look in your regular fitness magazines and look at the women and the men that are there, they are not actually a good representation of men and women in their age group because, they're obviously, super fit, over fit. And in fact, the things that they do to get that look would kill most of us. In contrast, when they looked at the characters drawn by Marvel and DC Comics specifically, this was a study by scipost.org, an actual study, they found that the way they was drawn, they made the men more bulky than the normal guy, that's obvious, but the women at their most curviest, we'll say, were more endowed than some of the women that people look for on Pornhub, who are actual women who have to deal with, actual physics, as opposed to teenage boy mindsets of adults who you still want to look at, big boobs. Tis what it is. Story at number three this morning. It is Kanye West will tear down $4.5 million home across the street from Kim Kardashian. That's a quote. And build new mansion for for kids. Yeah, Kanye's divorce. I think it may have actually gone through, where Kanye and Kim Kardashian West are definitely going their separate ways. Kim Kardashian West, famously dating Pete Davidson, who, I'm not sure how that guy gets all the juice, but he does. And Kanye West is famously being Kanye and being Kanye. He says he's moving out of the house, which he already did. He's tearing down the house across the street and going to build a brand new house for his children to live across the street from their baby mama. Because in Kanye world, that makes sense. Remember when we were talking about Kanye just being a genius and being just misunderstood? I'm not sure how musically genius he is lately. I'm not sure what he's done lately that's moved the world. I don't listen to much actual music these days. But right now, his insanity is playing up to all the tabloids and all the people who care about that type of stuff. At number 4 this morning, Shane Beamer gets mayonnaise bath as South Carolina wins Mayo Bowl. Yes, there was a Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl this year. I think it's been around for a couple of years. Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. Oh. Let me hydrate. Sorry about that. Us just kind of going over mayonnaise. Told you more condiments in football coming up. so what happened was the winner of the Mayo Bowl, the Mayonnaise Bowl, instead of getting showered with Gatorade, unlike in the Cheez-Its Bowl, where that winner got showered with Cheez-Its coming out of a Gatorade big old container, they showered him with a mayonnaise bath, but they screwed it up. The players actually bunked him in the head first with the container with the cooler, and then the mayonnaise sort of started slathering down his face. So it was a kind of a weird thing. South Carolina getting the win, that's good. Shane Beamer getting the win, that's good. The mayonnaise bath, not a great look for the kids. If they're going to go big time, South Carolina thinks they're actually going to win a championship and do bigger things. Those kids got to get better with the showers from the actual Gatorade coolers, even if they're not holding Gatorade or Cheez-Its or whatever it is they want to throw at people these days. It makes no sense. The number 5 story, more than 30,000 people ordered evacuated in Colorado as wind gust fan wildfires. New York Times is where we pulled this story, engaged in a 4.44% overall. And it's amazing in these times, and I don't want to go deep into the global warmings type of stuff, but it's amazing in these times how a weather event and a natural catastrophe can turn into something that's so powerful and can draw people. Weeks ago, we dealt with the day where we had 200 miles of a tornado, not 200 miles of tornadoes, a tornado going over 200 miles that damaged so much. It made so much. It was just so much destruction that it was a day where we woke up saying, when it's 75 degrees in December, and that's the time for things like this to happen. We're dealing with record snow, oddly enough, in the West Coast, in the mountains in California, and record heat still again here in the South. We have not had a day below 50 for a high in like a week or so, and I think we've been in the 70s for the first batch of this week, and definitely we were that warm on Christmas. It was amazing. This, not a great thing. More than 30,000 people are being pushed out of Colorado because of the winds that are gusting, that are driving the wildfire. I have friends up there in the area who've done their Facebook safety stuff and have got out of the way. Fire is no joke. Weather is no joke. Mother Nature knows what she's doing, and if she is angry, you best get out of the way. At number 6, Twitter suspends key mRNA vaccine contributor, Dr. Robert Malone. The Epic Times is where we got this, and so you can take this with whatever grains of salt, large boulders of salt if you want to. Engagement is 3.55%. Yes, it happened. Dr. Malone posted on his Substack that he got banned from Twitter officially, permanently, all done, going back and forth. The odd irony of this is last night he had a guest appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast. So I don't know. I don't actually listen to it very much because it's on Spotify exclusively. I saw it more when it was on YouTube. So we'll probably see some clips of what happened coming there. And because it's Joe Rogan, it will probably be bonkers. But why was he bounced? Well, I will say just go check out some of the things that he's saying. He was a key contributor to making our mRNA vaccines, but also he's been a key contributor of sort of the crazy nonsense that we're all hearing about vaccines and coronavirus going forward. Story number 7 for this morning: tiger bites arm of man reaching into enclosure at Florida Zoo, officials say. That's basically all we're going to say about that. NewYorkTimes.com is where we pulled this from. I believe it was an AP story, but they had a write-up on the New York Times. 3.55% engagement of the entire grouping for that one. Yeah, that's all we're saying about that. And going to the story at number 8, trucker Rogel Aguilera-Mederos sentence reduced from 110 to 10 years after public outcry. CBSNews.com is where we pulled this actual copy from, with 3.37% of the engagement. What does this mean? If you've been following the story of Mr. Aguilera-Mederos, he was a truck driver who caused a series of accidents, a series of basically a chain reaction accident a few years ago that killed many people, caused much damage. And because of the way that Colorado has their sentencing, where you can't do concurrent sentencing and you have mandatory minimums in some cases, he ended up basically on 10 counts or so getting 110 years that weren't concurrent. So that meant 110 total years in prison, not 110 years you can stack on top of each other or in some way or do multiples. The people, noting that it was a bad thing, but didn't want the man to literally have to die 3 or 4 times in prison. These are not life sentences. This is just concurrent sentences over and over again. Was a public outcry. The governor got involved. The DA was like, dude, we need to do something about this. The judge just was forced to, in sentencing, to lay it down this way. After the outcry, the change was made, in this case at least, to reduce the sentence to 10 years. That's basically all the sentences, all the accusations stacked on top of each other done concurrently. And that should be fine going forward. They will have to do some more work in changing the law for Colorado to make sure that these things don't happen. But it's one of the unintended consequences of the legal system in trying to be, ultra tough on crime and things like that. You don't usually capture the big criminals. You capture little criminals with a whole lot of stuff they can't get out of. Remember, as it's been trending this week on Twitter, Al Capone got punched for tax evasion because there was news this week about the IRS reminding folks that if you steal something, you need to declare the value of that stuff you stole, unless you intend to give it back in the same calendar year. If you steal something, that's how Al Capone got pinched for not paying taxes on the illegal booze he was selling. Not for selling legal booze, but not giving the government his cut. Remember that, folks, next time you're trying to get around your stuff and make sure you're taking care of what needs to be taken care of. This, my friends, was 8 things to talk about for this day being the 31st of January of December 2021. 2022 is coming up in 6 a.m. now, so about 18 hours away. And so hopefully you have enjoyed all the stuff that we've done today. Hopefully you've enjoyed the stuff we've done all year. It's been a very fluid is not the right word. It's been a very interesting year of getting stuff done this year. So thank you so much for all of you guys who have supported me in this endeavor for 8 things to talk about for the Conversation Project. Now, the Conversation Project. You can visit more stuff at thisistheconversationproject.com. Other websites that works as well. If you want to help support us, go to the website and click on one of our sponsors and buy something from them. It's an affiliate link. You get a little bit of chips here, pennies here, there for what you buy, and it costs you nothing extra. And you can always go to buymeacoffee.com/JClevelandPayne, just like it says there underneath me. Buymeacoffee.com/JClevelandPayne, and you can give us a little cheddar there that way as well. Buy me a coffee, buy a subscription. If you've got Venmo or Cash App, just message me. If you want to give me straight up cash, you want to buy a house with an envelope, we can make that happen too. Thank you so much for joining us for Things to Talk About. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, working on the pithiness, working on the presentation, and working on just getting the damn thing done. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll try to make this thing happen somehow. even though we're going back to work on Monday, come Monday.